Hi everyone, I am Sam Trimberger, and for my deliverable, I decided to do a website on everything to do with intermittent fasting. So just a little overall topic of intermittent fasting, whether it be alternate day fasting or time restricted fasting, it helps foster loss in body weight, body mass index, and waist circumference, thus reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Here on the homepage, if you scroll down, these three links here go to the different places on the website. And these are my three main takeaways that I want everybody to know after looking at the website. Some of the benefits from intermittent fasting, as well as why those occur, the different types of intermittent fasting, and then the further research needed and more testing needed for possible benefits. So moving on to the About page, we have history and background information, and then just the overall obesity leads to type 2 diabetes. And now for why/what intermittent fasting is. So obesity is one of the leading causes for death, and 13% of the adult population is obese. This increases the amount of people with type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. To combat the risk of these diseases, people should try to keep in check their weight. People have been trying calorie restriction to help with this, but it's been really hard to maintain, and it leads to weight fluctuation, which ultimately leads to gaining all of the weight back. People have been searching for alternatives to calorie restriction, which is where intermittent fasting comes in. Intermittent fasting consists of taking part in fasting periods and regular calorie consumption throughout the day or week. And then there are two types of forms of intermittent fasting that people can do, one of them being alternate day fasting, and then the other one being time restricted fasting. Now moving on to the benefits of intermittent fasting. So the first one we're looking at here are benefits according to a randomized control trial. And so both alternate day fasting and 16/18 time restricted fasting greatly reduced body weight, body mass index, and waist circumference. And then alternate day fasting reduced glucose and improved HDL-C. And then time restricted fasting showed improvement in lipid profiles, as well as an increase in triglyceride levels and increased cholesterol levels as well. And this is all compared to the control group. And then moving on to the systematic review of clinical trials, they concluded that men who have multiple sclerosis and partake in intermittent fasting show improvements in mental health. And then intermittent fasting can also reduce cardiovascular risk in obese individuals, and it regulates the proteins in lipid metabolism. Next, we're moving on to a study done by Dr. Pan Taub. She is a cardiologist at the University of California, San Diego, and the author of a study following overweight individuals who followed an intermittent fasting diet for 3 months. She concluded that individuals who participated in intermittent fasting decreased the number of calories consumed by 8.6% while not changing what they ate during those non-fasting periods. And then intermittent fasting has been reported to help the quality of sleep, as well as give the individual more energy. And then just some other benefits of partaking in intermittent fasting are better blood sugar control and increased response to insulin. Now we're moving on to why intermittent fasting has benefits. There's a few different reasons. The first one being periods of fasting and non-fasting make our neurons more resilient, as it triggers a process called autophagy, which gets rid of damaged proteins. And then during fasting periods, we run out of glucose stored in our bodies, and we begin to use the fat as the energy source, which leads to weight loss. This is due because we are using fat to fuel bodies. So the fat that is being used we're getting rid of that fat, which leads to weight loss. And then lastly, fasting gives our organs a rest because if we are constantly eating, our cells are constantly working. So by extending our fasting period time, we give our organs more of a rest, which just lead to an overall healthier body and lifestyle. Next, we're going to move into the different types of intermittent fasting. We have alternate day fasting, time restricted fasting, and then a couple of other versions within those two types of intermittent fasting. So let's go on to alternate day fasting, also known as ADF. So alternate day fasting is a cycle between fasting and non-fasting on non-consecutive days. So it ends up being a 1-to-1 ratio. On fasting days, people usually don't eat at all or very little, around 500 calories. And on fasting days, it is highly recommended to stay hydrated. On non-fasting days, people can eat freely and consume whatever they may please. And some of the benefits of alternate day fasting, according to a randomized trial, says that this diet helps reduce body weight, body mass index, and waist circumference. And then ADF does a better job for improving HDL-C and reducing blood glucose compared to TRF. And then down here are just a couple more graphics trying to explain when people eat versus when they don't eat when participating in alternate day fasting. Next, we'll move on to time restricted fasting, and we're focusing on 16-8 time restricted fasting, or TRF, which is the most popular form of TRF. So what is 16-8 time restricted fasting? It is each day there's a 16-hour fast where the only thing being consumed is water, and then the other 8 hours in the day consist of eating normally. There are no restrictions in what one can and cannot eat during this 8-hour period. And an example of what a day would look like on 16-8 TRF would be starting to eat at 12 p.m. in the afternoon and then finishing eating by 8 p.m. at night. And then again, some benefits of 16-8, according to a randomized clinical trial, is it reduces body weight, body mass index, and waist circumference. And then 16-8 TRF is better at reducing triglyceride levels than alternate day fasting. And then just a little warning with time restricted fasting, it has been reported to have a side effect of headaches. So just keep an eye out for that. And then a couple of other versions of intermittent fasting. Another version of alternate day fasting is 5-2. One would eat normally for 5 days and fast or have around 500 calories on 2 non-consecutive days. And then another version of time restricted fasting, it really can be customized to anyone. Each person can decide how long and when they fast. So other examples of popular formats of TRF are 14-10 and 18-6. Now moving on to continuing research. So basically, intermittent fasting is a relatively recent occurrence, which means it does require further research and clinical trials to validate or refute potential benefits. After many tests by various scientists have been conducted, it has been proven in monkeys and rodents that intermittent fasting has seen effects in anti-aging, reducing systematic inflammation, maintaining brain health, and boosting endurance and coordination. These findings have yet to be proven true in humans, though. And then many other tests are ongoing and will be starting to see if intermittent fasting has an effect on cancer, multiple sclerosis, strokes, Crohn's disease, cardiometabolic health, impact the central circadian rhythms, and have anti-aging effects. So throughout the next many years, there will be continuing trials and studies on intermittent fasting. And then now we have our call to action, which is like our conclusion here. Overall, intermittent fasting is a great diet to lose body weight and fat, which helps prevent type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. However, it has yet to be proven to have any benefits on any other illnesses or diseases. So if someone is looking to lose some weight and get overall healthier, this is a good diet for them, and I would definitely recommend it. Intermittent fasting is a great way to lose some pounds without cutting back on what one eats entirely or cutting out entire food groups. And then anyone can also fit this into their schedule, as this is a very flexible diet. There's many different forms and times, and when you can do it, it's really all up to you. So it's very flexible. And then if someone is looking into this diet as a cure-all to all of their health problems, this is not the right diet for it. And then a warning for anyone who may start to do intermittent fasting is that due to the fasting periods, one may feel dizzy or have headaches. So keep an eye out for that. And then lastly, here we have the works cited page. And I hope you learned a little bit about intermittent fasting. Thank you.